Good day, grade 5 learners. Welcome back to our virtual discussion. In this video, we're gonna discuss multiplication of fractions. This lesson includes visualizing multiplication of fractions using model and of course, multiplication of fractions itself. Let's start with a simple visualization of fraction. In our previous lesson, you have learned that a fraction is a part of a whole. You also learned that a fraction consists of a numerator and a denominator. This fundamental knowledge about fraction is essential to visualize a fraction. For example, we have 1/4. How are we going to visualize this fraction? First, we have to draw a whole since we all know that a fraction is a part of a whole. Second, divide a whole based on our denominator since the denominator tells the number of equal parts a whole is divided into. Lastly, shade part of the whole based on our numerator since the numerator tells the number of equal parts considered or taken away. By following this procedure, you may successfully visualize a fraction using model. Let's have another example. 4/5. Again, draw a whole, divide the whole based on our denominator, and shade parts of the whole based on our numerator. But what if we have a mixed fraction? First, you have to visualize the whole number of the mixed fraction. After visualizing the whole number, proceed to visualizing the fractional part. Draw another one whole, divide it based on our denominator, and shade part of it based on our numerator. That's pretty easy, right? Now, let's proceed on how to visualize multiplication of fractions using models. In visualizing multiplication of fractions, we use models to represent each fractions, just like this. Model of first fraction times model of second fraction equals the product. To make visualizing multiplication of fractions easy, it is advisable to use different colors to represent the shaded parts and vertical and horizontal line to divide a whole based on the respective denominators of the given factors. Let us have some examples. Bea covered 3/4 of a corkboard with cartolina. Then, she made a poster on 2/3 of the cartolina. What part of the corkboard was covered by the poster? Visualizing multiplication of fractions can also be used as a process or as a strategy in solving word problem. How? First, you have to list down all the given data. Second, visualize each given data in separate model. Third, intersect the two models to represent the product. To get the numerator of the product, count the intersecting colors of the models. Those are the parts that change color after intersecting the two models. To get the denominator of the product, count the total parts of a whole is divided into. And lastly, simplify your answer if possible. Let us have another example. What if you are asked to visualize the product of a one whole or of a whole and a fraction? 2 times 3/4. Start with listing down the given fractions. Second, visualize it separately. Third, intersect the model to get the product. For the numerator, count the intersecting colors of the models, the parts that change color. And for the denominator, count the parts of a whole is divided into. And lastly, simplify your answer if possible. And those are the procedure on how to visualize multiplication of fraction. Now let's proceed to the multiplication of fractions. This subtopic includes reminders on how to multiply fraction without using models. Let's begin with a fraction multiplied by another fraction. To multiply fractions, multiply the numerators to get the numerator of the product, multiply the denominators to get the denominator of the product, and express the product in lowest terms. Let's elaborate this through some examples. Multiply the following fractions. Simplify your answer if possible. Number 1, 3 over 5 times 3 over 4. To get the product of these fractions, multiply the numerators to get the numerator of the product, and multiply the denominators to get the denominator of the product. Therefore, the answer is 9 over 20. Second example, 1 over 7 times 8 over 11. Again, multiply the numerators to get the numerator of the product, and multiply the denominators to get the denominator of the product. Therefore, the answer in this expression is 8 over 77. But what if our given expression consists of 3 fractions just like this? Take note that no matter how many factors do we have, as long as the operation of our expression is multiplication, we just simply multiply all the numerators to get the numerator of the product, and multiply all the denominators to get the denominator of the product. Do not also forget to simplify the product if possible. Next is multiplying mixed fraction by another mixed fraction. If one of the factor is a mixed fraction, or both factors are mixed fraction, change the mixed fraction to improper fraction first before finding the product. Let's put it in examples. Multiply the following fractions. Simplify your answer if possible. Number 1, 2 and 3/5 times 1 and 3/4. First, change these fractions to improper fractions. Afterwards, multiply the numerators to get the numerator of the product, and then multiply the denominators to get the denominator of the product. Change the product to mixed fraction since the originating fractions, the given factors, are in mixed fraction form. Another example, 5 and 1/2 times 2 and 3/7. Again, change the factors to improper fractions, multiply the numerators to get the numerator of the product, and then multiply the denominators to get the denominator of the product. Change the product to mixed fraction form to get the final answer. Last is multiplying whole number by fraction. If one factor is a whole number, express first the whole number in fraction form. How? Always remember that any whole number, its sole denominator is 1. So, to be able to change whole number in fraction form, rewrite the whole number as a numerator and 1 as its denominator. Let's have some examples. Multiply the following fractions and simplify your answer if possible. Number 1, 2 times 3/4. First, express the whole number in fraction form, then proceed to the multiplication of fractions. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator to get the product. Change the product to mixed fraction, then simplify if possible. What if the other factor is a mixed fraction? If that's the case, you have to change the whole number in fraction form and change the mixed fraction to improper fraction, then proceed to multiplication of fractions. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator to get the product. Change the product to mixed fraction and simplify if possible. To sum it up, to multiply fractions, we multiply the numerators, then we also multiply the denominators. If one of the factors is a mixed fraction, change the mixed fraction as an improper fraction, then proceed to the multiplication of fractions. If one of the factors is a whole number, express first the whole number in fraction form, then proceed to multiplication of fractions. That concludes our lesson about multiplication of fractions. Thanks for watching and see you in our next discussion. Happy learning!